We're starting off with the news that PlayStation has acquired Housemarque in the official press release. The co-founder and managing director of Housemarque, Ilari Kutinian, said, "We are so excited to finally be joined the PlayStation Studios family. This gives our studio a clear future and a stable opportunity to continue delivering a gameplay-centric approach while still experimenting with new methods of narrative delivery and pushing the boundaries of this modern art form. Locally, here in Helsinki, this also means that we will officially expand the PlayStation family to a growing industry hub and secure the legacy of the oldest game studio in Finland." A little bit of a flex at the end there, gotta appreciate it. John, what were your reactions when you heard this news? Did it surprise you? Did it shock you?
Finally. That's literally that was my reaction. Finally. Like, Housemarque is so ingrained in my head with Sony that I know we both talked about it. It was just a matter of time before it was just, hey, here's the keys to the Sony kingdom and go nuts. I love this. I mean, I know we're all kind of afraid of when like good indie devs get picked up and what they're going to do, but and they said it in their press release. This secures them and this gives them the Sony money to not be afraid to go ahead and take the chances or to like what's going to happen, because it's going to be one of those things like they're not afraid they're going to lose their team, and that's the best part about this. So hopefully Sony takes a just do what you're going to do approach and make the games you've been making. While I mean, I still enjoy Returnal. I think it's great. I know a lot of people don't, but they took the idea of the arcade shooter that they were known for and put it in a third person perspective. It's great. I freaking love it. I think this is good for Housemarque. I think this is great for Sony, and it just kind of pushes the acquisition war, if we want to call it that way, if we're going to talk about console wars or anything like that, the acquisition war going a little bit more, and it's fun. I think this is great news for both sides.
Yeah. This was sort of a little bit less, well, not, it was as surprising in that it wasn't a shock at all, but a little less massive than their Insomniac acquisition.
Yeah, that one was out of nowhere. This one...
Yeah, PlayStation Studios now have this pattern where they work with studio for a long time before buying them, in contrast to what Xbox do, which is sort of more aggressive, more just buying studios that they think will fit their content strategy, even if they haven't necessarily worked with them before. Yeah, like you said, I think it was a long time coming. For a long time now, Housemarque have been working with PlayStation, as far as I know, since the PS3 era, with Super Stardust HD. Going on with Dead Nation and Ex Machina and now Returnal. Just works super well for them. I know part of me feels a little bad in that they did value their independence. I know that much, but the reason they valued their independence was that it allowed them a certain amount of creative freedom. But I think at a certain point, with the whole arcade is dead thing and Ex Machina, being critically acclaimed but not hitting the sales numbers that they wanted to, I think they realized the limitations of what they could do on their own pretty quickly. I think that there comes a certain point when you're working within a niche that you have to have someone backing you up, someone paying the bills, so you can work on this crazy stuff. And I think this works for Sony as well, in that Housemarque are really coming out here and saying, Sony, let us do some crazy stuff with Returnal that no one else would, and they're going to keep letting us doing crazy stuff, whatever we decide that is. And so I think that sort of squashes the narrative of Sony are risk-averse that's been playing up for a long time. And so, I loved Housemarque when their name popped up during that Sony showcase for the first announcement of Returnal. I jumped. I was like, this studio is quality, and people are about to realize it when this game hits. And yeah, Returnal did really well in seemingly both sales and critically. And so I think, this is going to be Sony's next, maybe a while before they turn into the likes of like Gorilla or a Santa Monica, but it's definitely something they're going to develop and make bigger and bigger and do crazier things. And, with tight gameplay as their sort of centerpiece, I feel like they can expand and do more crazy things and just build on the legacy of Returnal and Ex Machina. So I'm happy to see this for sure. It just makes sense. They had an interview in British GQ, which is not a publication we often tout on this show, but it turned out here. British GQ had the inside scoop with Herman Halston and Larry Catinian. They said, this is from Herman Hulst actually, we were very selective about the developers that we bring on. Our last new acquisition was Insomniac, which was for $229 million in 2019. No word yet on what they bought Housemarque for, they're keeping that under wraps. I'm always looking for people that have a similar set of values, similar creative ambitions, and work very well with our team, and we can further invest in and help grow as creators. It's not like we're going around and just making random acquisitions. They're very targeted acquisitions of teams that we know well. The amount of collaboration between our external development group and Housemarque on the technical side, the production management side, and even the creative side has been so deep. So for us, it just makes so much sense to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like that little slight against an Xbox. I'll be absolutely honest. Just like, we work with these guys.
Yeah.
We know what it is. We're just not buying willy nilly and just gobbling up different developers. So, this just made too much sense, and I hope this is what is going to like help out in the long run, because they do have a very good working relationship, both sides.
It's just different to the Xbox, EA, Epic, Tencent strategy, where it's just buying up studios willy nilly. They want to have those deep dives. They want to make sure it fits this sort of overarching PlayStation Studios culture.
Yeah.
But I do think it was spurred on a little bit by, recent acquisitions from the likes of EA buying Codemasters and Xbox buying Bethesda. We're in this pandemic and like games are doing really, really well. They'll have a cash surplus. So they want to use that to like keep up with the rest of the crowd, even if it's in Sony's own way, where it's like sort of these more targeted acquisitions. They'd probably have this big cash overflow where they were like, who do we buy? And, as far as I know, that this deal was in the works for about midway through Returnal's development. So this has been in the works for a while, but definitely they feel the need to keep up with the pack, as it were.
Yeah. I think I don't think this was what we would call like a knee-jerk reaction, but with what Xbox has been doing, and everyone just like, let's buy some developers, let's build out our first party studios. I think this was one of those. All right, like you said, we've got enough cash. We need to buy someone, and we've been working well with Housemarque, so we might as well just do it.
Yeah. There was also an interview with a Finnish publication that was translated by the Game Post. I say that they actually use Google Translate, so bear with us here. The head of Housemarque revealed that apart from Sony, there were other parties who were interested in the acquisition as well. He touted usual suspects, major publishers in the field of China, Sweden, and the United States. I have to say that there's a very special spring behind us, and the fact that we have been competing even a little feels surreal. In our discussions, it became clear that Sony wanted to buy us because we are doing something that others are not doing. Their starting point has not been that we would start making games according to the formula defined by Sony. So yeah, obviously the big excerpt there is going to be, usual suspects, major players from China, Sweden, United States. Who is he alluding to here, John? Can you think of anyone that would be interested in buying a Housemarque?
China would be Tencent, right?
China would definitely be Tencent. That would be the usual suspect. Sweden, I believe, is the Embracer Group, who own THQ Nordic and a bunch of these other things. They're based out of Sweden, so I imagine it would be them.
Okay.
They've been making
that was the one I was like, I couldn't put my finger on. And then obviously the US would have been Microsoft.
Yeah. Along with maybe others, maybe EA were looking at them, but
True.
Again, like those strong ties with Sony for what Housemarque want to do going forward, I don't think they would have wanted a situation where they would have been pressured to fit a release schedule from the likes of, say, Microsoft. They would have been, trying to maximize profits with the likes of Tencent or EA. Embracer Group are sort of, I don't know how they handle their acquisitions, but I think Sony places a focus on creativity and quality to sort of better their ecosystem, so it makes sense that they would want to go with them, if anyone. And yes, another acquisition is potentially on the way, and Sony might have looked at themselves. So the PlayStation Japan Twitter account apparently tweeted the wrong image initially for the acquisition. So yeah, there was that image that everyone saw of the PlayStation Studios and Housemarque logos. PlayStation Japan tweeted out talking about Returnal Housemarque, but the image was of Bluepoint Games. What do you think of that one, John? Is that coming up next?
Again, this is one of those like we're kind of just expecting it because Bluepoint has that relationship with Sony. Like it's one of those. Just do it. Just go ahead and pull the trigger. I'm actually shocked we have not heard it by now. I thought by now, since it was accidentally leaked, that we would have already heard going, hey, by the way, we got Blue Point 2, and they're doing another game, probably Metal Gear. I don't know. We're all trying to figure out what Blue Point's next game is. But Blue Point, again, has a great working relationship with Sony. So it will not shock me come next week that we're going to be talking about Blue Point games being acquired by Sony. So I'm fine with it. I think it's great. I think Blue Point does really, really good work. I mean, on Demon Souls, I couldn't remember the game for a second, is gorgeous. I want to see what else they're going to do. And if they're going to stay in that, we're going to remaster games, or will Sony let them loose? I don't know. But if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Mm-hmm.
I would say let Blue Point keep on doing their thing and give us another game that we need remastered, remade, and we'll go from there. I'm just waiting now.
Yeah. The Blue Point Games Twitter bio was updated to state that it is a fully independent, self-funded studio. They've also been using that terminology in several job listings for their company. So it's interesting to see them almost like refuting that. With this acquisition, it would make sense for Sony. I still do think it's coming. I think it should maybe happen by the end of the year is what I would guess. But yeah. I'm not 100% on that. Blue Point is in a spot where it's different to Housemarque, right? They do have the ties with Sony, and they're gonna want to keep this thing going of remastering and remaking these beloved PlayStation franchises from days gone by. But I think that they don't want, at least not now, to flex their creative muscles. They're in a safe space right now with working on these old beloved games that already have these histories and just like freshening them up. But I have a feeling that if PlayStation were to lock them down outright, I don't know, like maybe they'd try and make them into two teams, one doing remakes and the other working on its original game. I know people have been like crying out for Blue Point to work on something on their own for a little while. So I don't know how it's going to go. Don't know.
As I said that too, I'm thinking about it going, well, if Sony wants, because we all know Sony doesn't really, the backwards compatibility conversation probably just needs to end. It's either going to be done, if you want to play your PlayStation 3 or 2 games, it's going to be done through PlayStation Now. But what if Sony could actually look at Blue Point and be like, hey, you know what? We want to push the boundaries of what the games look like. Let's clean them up. Let's make them look good. And what if, I don't think it would be a bad thing for Blue Point just to be that team. Blue Point is the team that grabs your PlayStation 1, 2, and 3 games and cleans them up and puts them on PlayStation 5, 6, 7, and so forth. It's safe money. And that's what Sony pretty much said to us a while back, where they want to do games that they know are going to make money. If a Blue Point game is coming out, then it's a remaster. They've proven themselves that we're going to jump on it, we're going to play it. So it's kind of one of those weird, there's a safe bet that we can do. And I still don't think that's a bad thing for Blue Point or Sony. So either way it goes, like I want developers to flex their muscles and do what they want to do, but I would love to hear from Blue Point, like, you know what? We get to flex our muscles because we get to figure out how to clean it up. We need to make the gameplay, adapt the gameplay to what modern consoles are right now. So maybe that's their just bread and butter, and I would be completely fine with that. Give me a Bloodborne remake. That's pretty much at the end of the day. That's all I want. I just want Bloodborne on PlayStation 5 at 60 FPS.
The man wants one thing.
So much to ask.
The man wants one single solitary thing.
I just want one thing.
Yeah. And that's 60
Sly
FPS.
Cooper, do that one too. Sure, we'll do Sly Cooper.
PlayStation have announced, off the back of another initiative of theirs in recent years, that they have acquired a small Dutch studio that you might not have heard of called Nixus Software. This comes from the Twitter account of Herman Hulst. He says that he's excited to announce the talented Dutch studio will be joining PlayStation Studios. Jurgen and the team at Nixus Software helped us at Guerrilla shipped Killzone Shadowfall in time for PS4 launch. We already enjoyed working with them back then. So again, keeping that theme of like ties. But Nixus Studio is a team that's almost entirely dedicated to high quality PC ports. And some of their work that you might recognize, a lot of work with Square Enix and Crystal Dynamics with Tomb Raider, Deus Ex, and Marvel's Avengers for PC. And yeah, Sony have been obviously touting their initiative to bring a quote from Jim Ryan, whole slate of PlayStation Studios games to the PC within the next few years. So I'm guessing this is just to bolster those efforts.
Yeah. And that's fine. I mean, there goes your exclusive Sony fanboys, but you know what? I think it works. I had to. I had to.
Yeah.
Look, more people playing more games, getting the opportunity to play more games by developers is a good thing. That's the long and short of it. So I think this was actually a really, really smart move that shows Sony wants to at least port some of their games to PC for other people to play it.
Yeah.
You're still going to pay $60 for a game 3 years old. Oh, well.
Yeah. And that's the thing, John. I had a friend come up to me this week and was like, he's playing Horizon Zero Dawn on PC finally. He doesn't own a PlayStation. And so he's been like, yeah, I've been playing it. And he's really getting into it. And it's like, oh, man, can't wait to play the next one when it launches on PC. I'm like, no, it's not.
Yeah,
because Sony,
2023.
Yeah, Sony still have this strategy, and it makes sense from their perspective to do it where, new PlayStation Studios game will still launch first on PS5 to try and drive up that ecosystem value, and once those sales have sort of leveled off, that is when they will go on PC. Days Gone was a little bit quicker than most, probably because sales weren't as good as some others. It'll be a while before you see like Ratchet and Clank on PC or Returnal on PC. So it's still gonna be that. I imagine. I think that the next one we're looking to get is probably Uncharted 4, which shows the timeline we're working on. But yeah, this is to bolster that initiative. If they do end up doing a thing where they are going to port, a bunch of their backlog to PC, it's going to be they're going to need to bring in studios like this who can dedicate themselves to this, while the big dogs, the people making original new games keep chugging along, because they're going to have to keep that going as well. Yeah. So yeah, but Bloodborne is the thing that we kind of need,
100%. Thank you for agreeing with me, good friend.
Get on it, Nixus.
Just do this.